Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harris and I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books, and today it's the Friday show. So for those of you who are big fans, you already know what it is, but for those of you who are finding the channel for the first time, every single Friday I will sit down with you guys and talk about the books that I have read that week, the books that I'm planning to read the next week, and then kind of some channel stuff and anything else that might be roughly relevant to your interests. So, what have I been up to this week? So my main focus has been Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. This is, for those of you who do not know, first book in Malazan, Book of the Fallen. I have the broken binding edition of this. I actually ordered the second three books as well recently, which will come in time for me to read them on the channel, which is pretty exciting. So I have finished part one and then have just been like the world's busiest bee. So have not really picked it back up again to start part two. I read a few pages of the beginning of part two on like Tuesday, I think. But then literally all of Wednesday, super busy, all of Thursday, super busy. And so haven't really picked it back up. I'll probably restart chapter 5 because I'm like 5 or 6 pages in, and I opened it up this morning when I, first poured my coffee. I was like, before I film the video, I'll finish this chapter, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on. And it's not in a like Malazan, I have no idea what's going on. The first part of this chapter, it feels like it's like a dream sequence. And so I kind of want to absorb it as a whole rather than broken up. So yeah, I decided to reread the first part of the chapter. We're talking 5 pages, maybe 6. So far, this book is good. So the writing is probably the strongest part. I feel like the prose is extremely high quality. And I'm really, really loving it. It does feel like it feels like an in-between of the more kind of purple flowery prose that you get in some fantasy and the more accessible prose that you get in, say, for example, something like Brandon Sanderson. So I really like that. I've always been a big fan of accessible prose. I've talked about this a lot, that I think that making your book hard to read just means that less people will enjoy it. Whereas, and like maybe that's your goal, but for me, I feel like, books that can bring interesting ideas to a mass audience are valuable. I'm going to put that on now because it's quite heavy. So I also have a paperback, which I have been taking everywhere with me. I've read quite a decent amount through this hardback, but I've kind of jumped to and fro. So Malazan, Book of the Fallen, for those of you who do not know, has a reputation. It has a reputation of being very confusing, very hard to understand, something you need to reread. People talk about needing PDF guides. Needing to listen to a podcast after every chapter to understand what's happened. I have not found this to be particularly hard to understand. There's a lot of things that are being referenced that I don't know, but I am trusting that will be explained. For example, there is a thing called a warren, which is like how the magic works. And Steven Erikson hasn't explained warrens at all, but I don't need to know how the warrens work. I don't need to see the E equals MC squared, power level is over 9,000. I just need to know that Steven Erikson knows. And I 100% trust him on this. They feel like a very well realised system. Very happy with that. Looking forward to reading and finding out more about them. I believe that somebody said that the magic system doesn't get explained until like book 5 or something. But I will be brutally honest with you, I don't care if it's explained as long as it is consistent and applied well. I'm not really a big magic system guy. I thought I was. When I first came back to reading fantasy, I was like, oh, magic systems, this is what I've been missing in my books, this is like a video game. And then, like, the more I read, the more I'm like, I don't care about this. Like, I don't need points and numbers and mana. Just, like, be like, oh, I'm tired, I can't do the spell anymore. Anyway, so, yeah, really enjoying Malazan. I'm in a weird spot with this one where I am really intrigued by the story so far, actually, but I don't care about any of the characters pretty much. I think that there's a thing that happens early on in the story as well where I'm like, oh, like, it's a shame to do that so early in a story like this, 10 books plus all the sidequels and sequels. I won't spoil what it is because it is kind of a spoiler, I guess. But maybe, I think Matt and I will talk about it in our spoiler discussion. I'll try and remember to bring it up with him. I don't know how far he has got. We have been chatting and he's really liking the book. I think that it's going to be like an inverse of Wheel of Time where I loved it from the start and he liked it but needed to kind of get into it. And I think that's going to be the same for me here. I think that I'm going to like it, but need a bit more time to grow to love the characters, if that makes sense. Ironically, the characters that I'm really interested in, we're not really spending much time with. But I know that they're big and popular characters in the series, so I'm expecting to see more of them. Whiskey Jack, for example, is the character that I feel the most interested by, and a lot of Malazan fans talk about him, so I'm going to assume that he is consistent through the series. That is a really long time to spend talking about one book that isn't a review when I've only read like 20% of it. But I do think that a lot of people want to kind of hear how people feel as they read Malazan. So that's it. That's my thoughts. I also started listening to the audiobook for It by Stephen King. So I was always planning to read it this month because it's October. I wanted to read something spooky. And I wanted an audiobook that was completely different from Malazan. And luckily my library had its audiobook available to read. And so I have borrowed that and I've been listening via Libby. I think I'm 4 hours in now. I don't actually know where I'm at, chapters and such wise. We're at the moment going through all of the characters as adults, and like they're all kind of coming to the realization that they have to face it. The opening was really strong, really liked it. The section that is set in the 80s and is, I think actually most of the modern day is set in the 80s. The section with the two gay men, where one of them is murdered, has a lot of very choice, appropriate for the time language, which I liked the story, and I'm not one of those people who gets like put off by slurs being used by people who are, homophobes or whatever. But yeah, very interesting. There's a lot of that language, and I imagine that is what it was like in the 80s. I was alive in the 80s, but not really, aware. I was born in 1986, so yeah. This is a really interesting book so far. The fact that I'm like 4 hours into the audiobook and it's like all foreshadowing pretty much of something bad's going to happen. I still haven't been able to get a physical copy of the book. I've been trying libraries, I've been trying charity shops. My two friends of mine who both read Stephen King, Neither of them have a copy. A third friend who's reading Stephen King, I think he said he does have a copy, but he doesn't live anywhere near me, so he'd have to post it, which would be a faff for him. So anyway, that's it. And that's it for books that I'm currently reading. Next week, both of these books are like 1,000 pages, so I will probably still be reading them both next week. I do have a couple of books that I have finished in the hopper for reviews. I think I've still got 2 weeks grace. So as long as I finish either it or Gardens of the Moon in the next 2 weeks, you shouldn't get a gap in service for your Monday review videos. I would really like to make some significant progress on Malazan this week, because I'm not audioing it, and actually at the moment a lot of my reading time is audio, because it's while I'm going for my runs or going to the gym, and I spend about 5 or 6 hours in the gym every week, and like 7 to 10 hours running a week. So if you think about that amount of time, actually it probably is 10. So if you think about that 15 hours, that's like all reading time. Obviously, I say obviously, I've started listening to music on my interval session runs, and when I'm at the gym, I'm often pausing my audio book to check something, or to like message somebody or something like that. So it isn't. That's why I've only managed to listen to 4 hours of it, even though I started it on Monday or Tuesday, I think. But yeah, really liking both books. I think it is a very strong, very, very strong book that I do wish I was able to read ebook or physically. The ebook isn't available through the library. So yeah, I would like to get to that. Other than that, yeah, that's what I've got up next. Afterwards, I do have one more spooky book. I have Autumn Spring's Retirement Home Massacre by Philip Fracassi that I was sent by Orbit very kindly, and I'll probably read that if I read both Gardens of the Moon and it in October, but we're already on the 19th, so unlikely. One other thing that I did buy, which I am pretty hype about, as I picked it up today, is the Insta360 Go 3S 4K. So this is a little mini vlogging camera. It's actually, I think it's technically the smallest 4K vlogging camera in the world, because this is the actual camera, which is pretty cool. And then this has like a little flip out screen. So if you want to do proper vlog style, you can use this. But if you want to, you can like clip this to your hat and stuff. So yeah, my goal is to use this to do some fitness content as well, because, you know, if I'm running 15, yeah, if I'm doing like 15 hours a week of exercise, it would kind of be nice to share that. It's a big part of my life, and while not everything in my life is for content and for public consumption, I really enjoy watching running content, which is why I got in, you know, and I enjoyed watching booktube content, so I got into booktube. So I feel like this will be a really fun next step. But also I am hoping to start doing reading vlogs, and my thought process for that is that, like, I will have I'll just have my Insta360 like around, and then when I'm reading, I'll just like pick it up and shoot like 10 seconds of thoughts on a book, and then put it back away and keep reading. One of the reasons why I don't do reading vlogs really now is because I spend most of my reading time sat on the sofa or out and about with audio, and it's not particularly interesting. But I guess now I'm doing a lot of the running and the audiobook stuff, actually it kind of is a bit more interesting. I won't probably be doing any vlogging stuff for Gardens of the Moon, despite knowing that that would do very well on YouTube. I've already started reading it, so I can't really do that. But the next Malazan book, I will try and do a vlog. We'll see. I wish I'd had this when I was reading A Memory of Light, because I would have done a like the last battle reading vlog, because I read the entire last battle in a day, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm hoping to do lots more vlog style content as well. I had this idea where maybe I could do my reviews more as vlogs than like sit down talking heads videos. So that's something that I'm considering doing in the future. So yeah, lots more work, but I do think it might be a slightly more interesting video for those of you who are watching and not those of you who are just listening. But that's everything for this week. Next week's Wednesday video, so Monday's video, I can't remember what the book I have to review that I haven't reviewed yet is. It might be a Dungeon Crawler Carl book. I will have to go. Oh, I haven't reviewed the House of Last Resort, and I haven't reviewed the last Dungeon Crawler Carl, so I will review both of those over the next 2 weeks. And then Wednesday, currently no plans for Wednesday's video. I keep meaning to ask Matt if he wants to do a Wheel of Time characters tier ranking list. I think that would be a lot of fun, but we will just need to actually discuss and arrange it. That's everything. I hope you guys have enjoyed this week's videos. So it's just today's and the Where Darkness Gathers review. I would really strongly suggest you can't watch the Where Darkness Gathers review without spoiling yourself even mildly on the Adan trilogy. I know I've pitched this 1,000 times before, but like the Adan trilogy is really good. It's like a proper classic. It's a full trilogy with a beginning, middle, and end, and the final book is like genuinely really innovative, interesting, and experimental, I guess. So if you haven't watched that, I would really recommend you do so. Watch that, read those books, I would recommend you do so, and then you can read Where Darkness Gathers, then you can watch my review. Brilliant. That's everything. I hope you guys have a lovely weekend. If you haven't subscribed but you've watched this entire video, you are a madman, but please do subscribe. It'll be much more fun for you if you do. And what else? Oh yeah, tell me what you're reading, and I will chat to you in the comments and see you on Monday. Goodbye.